Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
He deserted me, Brian. My level 3 electronics tech. He just walked off the boat.
And electronics is so important in this game. It's so disgustingly important.
He was like master of gadgets.
Oh, crap. Also joining us is your co-host, Spaz.
Brought to you by Spice.
Spice must flow. Hunter is running a little late. Hopefully he'll be able to join us later. Apparently he's stuck in traffic. I didn't know they had traffic in North Carolina. I didn't know there were enough people to have traffic.
Oh, my God. You should try to get into my office at 7 in the morning.
You got to go in earlier. That's the key. Just go.
It's 3 lanes of road and 5 lanes of people. They're not really good at it.
This is why I get in at like 6:30 in the morning to avoid all that crap. So we have some guests this week. First off, joining us from my hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Corey Trese, the developer and founder of the Trese Brothers. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. This is Corey. I'm actually in Bloomington.
Oh, I got you guys mixed up. That's my fault. Andrew is in Philadelphia. I wrote it wrong. I apologize. Andrew, who is the artist, story, and co-founder, storyteller, and co-founder of the Trese Brothers, is in Philadelphia. Corey is in Indiana. So sorry about that. I'm very tired, and I miswrote the notes. That's my bad. But gentlemen,
been mixing us up for a long time.
Oh, I know. My mother-in-law still calls me by my other brother and my sister-in-law's husband name all the time, and we look nothing alike. He's got a big beard. I don't get it. So I get that. Like my grandmother used to call me Bruce, which is my uncle, all the time. So thank you guys for joining us. We're here to talk about the latest in your Star Trader series, Star Trader Frontiers, which, if I looked correctly, is the 3rd game in the series. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, there's 2 other games that are called Star Traders, and then there's a couple of other games that are set in the same universe but aren't actually about the Star Trader.
Oh,
captain.
What are the other games set in the same universe? I was going to ask about that.
So Templar. Go ahead, Andrew.
Sorry. The other 2 games are Templar Assault and Templar Battle Force. Templar Battle Force is available on Steam, and they let you really take a different perspective. You play as the captain of an elite strike squad of mech pilots. So you're playing a very different group of people in the universe, and you get a different perspective.
Basically.
And that game is also fantastic. I gotta say, I'm a big fan. I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm a big fan of just about all your games. I think I played just about every one.
Same.
I played on my first Android phone. I don't know how many hours I lost to the first Star Traders game. So
it has a certain magic, button mashing ability to eat commutes in airline.
I think
that's one of the things I enjoy still about Star Traders RPG is playing it on an airplane in offline mode.
Oh, it's a great mobile game. And now is Frontiers also on mobile? I didn't look. Is that going to be on mobile as well?
It is, but right now we're focused on the PC features and getting it really right on Steam, and then we will port it to mobile. It'll be full featured, but it's just going to take some time to get the touch interface and all the little buttons to work right.
That's totally fair. But you also have some other, like you have a Pirates RPG and Cyber Knights, which I actually do own as well, but I haven't played that one yet. So you have a fairly varied cadre of games here.
Yeah, so not all your stuff is on Steam, right? That's what I'm gathering here.
Right. It's been a process. Andrew and I are working as a team, and we started by making a mobile game. We've been making games as a pair for a long time, back to like pen and paper and QBasic.
Oh, wow.
Zork clone when we were like 12 and stuff. So
really?
Yeah, I think Andrew, right? Our first game was like Go North. You see an orc.
Yeah, and it was it had very little ability to go outside of script, so you could like play 3 rooms and a door and a goblin that you fought, and it was basic. It was pretty amazing what you could do with go-to statements.
Yeah, but probably since sell then, that on Steam in this climate, though.
You know, if we put some pixel art on it, we might be able to.
You probably
put $1.99.
Oh yeah, people would buy that. People would totally buy that.
It's our evil plan. Is we're gonna
put 100
one moderately successful, decent early access title, and then just start cranking out QBasics org clones.
Was the first Star Trader game? Was that your first like commercial game, as a pair?
Yeah, it was. That was probably the first game that we actually had other people play.
Oh.
Well, we had for years and years have written and play tested pen and paper RPGs, but that was the first digital game, and it really started more as a lark. Or we both, like, Corey got his first Android phone, and we lived halfway or all the way across the country from each other. And Corey started kind of coding and sent me a package and said, "Hey, check this out. Let's make this funny space game." And we just got kind of started that way. So it was not. We had no idea this is the journey we were going to go on, but here we are.
And so what kind of pen and paper stuff were you inspired by? I mean, like, were you Star Frontiers fans?
We played. I don't even know if Andrew remembers this. He may have been too young, but the space game that we played was Traveler, which is like first edition, and we got a D&D boxed set, and we didn't have a lot of RPGs. We got like the D&D starter set, and I got a used Traveler source book, and I don't think it was like the core Traveler source book. I think it was like some corner of the galaxy source book, but it was enough. Andrew and I played the space game a lot with the D&D rules because we didn't have the rules, so we played with the fantasy rules.
Oh wow, you adapted the rules from D&D into Traveler?
So, yeah, Day One Project was a total conversion of D20 to space.
What game is it?
No, I'm saying your D&D. It's like in one hand you've got Dungeons and Dragons, and in the other hand you've got the Traveler source book. So it's like on day one you're converting D20 to a space game.
Yep. And we were just kids. I think it was just we made do with what we had, and we were always really inspired by the catalogs. I remember Andrew and I spent a lot of time looking at. Do you remember this, Andrew? Like looking through catalogs of source books and being like, "Here's the paragraph we have in the cover," and we'll figure out, probably what kind of stuff would be in that source book and try and make stuff up. So I think we were making up games from a very early age.
That's impressive.
We in fact try to play Warhammer Fantasy Armies. We never really got any of too much of the figurines and stuff, but we try to play all of that without having any books, just the magazines where you could see what the figures were, and we kind of made stuff up to go in between so you could play without any of it.
We'd cut the book up, cut the catalog up, and like paste the little pictures of the dudes onto cardboard.
Aww.
Move those around on the ground. I mean, we loved making up games. I think as early as we understood that, like, there's rules, we were trying to make up our own variations. We used to try and make our
Kickstarter had existed back then you guys would be TSR today.
Possible.
I guess
we would have asked for money.
I have to say one of the ways your passion for gaming really comes across, besides your prolificness, is that a word? How prolific you are in making games is how prolific you are in updating the games you've made. Like, for example, Star Trek Frontiers just had its 18th patch, I think.
Yep. Confirmed, yeah, absolutely.
And it's been out for a month and a half. It's like, oh my god. Do you guys sleep? Like, how does that work?
We sleep in shifts. Andrew sleeps while I'm awake. And then once he goes to sleep, I get up so we can keep the patches rolling continuously. It's faster. It's faster at first, right? Like early on, there's a lot of people playing and people are telling us what's wrong with the game. Star Traders, the original ones, had 360 updates in 6 years.
Oh my
so
god!
Like it averages out, right? You're not going to get an update every 2 days for the entire life cycle.
Sure, but that's still like, when was the last update for Star Traders RPG, for example? When was that one last updated?
November, maybe.
Dear Lord, that game is 6 years old, right?
Yep. Just had its sixth birthday about a month ago.
That's astounding. I really got to give you guys props for that, because you usually don't see and game developers always have the best of intentions, but you don't always see that kind of post-release support, especially in the indie sphere. So that's super impressive.
I mean, I have to be honest. It has a lot to do with how many people are playing. We have other games that are almost as old that haven't seen updates in a long time, because there's just not other people besides us that are engaging with them. Star Traders still has people who are playing it. There's still people that say, like, I like this game, and there's people downloading and installing it. So we keep updating it. I'm still playing it. They're still playing it.
Yeah.
Something like Age of Pirates, it's getting a download a week or something on Google Play, and we're not updating it because there's only 10 people playing it.
So the original Star Traders is mobile only?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's great.
And it's one of the first games I got on my phone.
Yeah. I think it was
How
like...
tough is it if you wanted to port a mobile game over to PC?
If you just wanted to make like Star Traders run on the PC, it wouldn't be too hard.
Okay, because there's a lot of stuff that's on mobile that I look at and I'm just like, damn, if that was on PC, they wouldn't even have to like up-res the graphics or anything. Just put it on the damn PC and I would buy it. But I don't want to play that on my phone, right? It's like there was one I was looking at yesterday that it's like some kind of dinosaur thing. It's like Ark, but in like isometric perspective. And I'm just like, man, if that was a desktop app, I would throw them money right now. So I'm just curious, like, why some of this mobile only stuff never actually makes it into the wider market.
Well, I think sometimes developers are intimidated by Steam. I think Steam and also Steam Direct and access to Steam is a new thing. So I think the makers of this dinosaur app, you should reach out to them. They may really be surprised to hear that you would pay for that on PC. They may just not have thought of it.
So how did you guys have? So what brought you guys to Steam after being on mobile for so long? Because
all Andrew.
Oh, because it was the Star Traders 4X. That was your first game on Steam, if I'm recalling. Is that correct?
It was actually Heroes of Steel, which was our very first game. And we had done our first Kickstarter for Heroes of Steel, and we raised $20,000 to make that game. And as part of the Kickstarter, we pledged to get, this was
wait.
early
I don't
days.
think we raised $20,000.
We did, in fact, raise $20,000. Trust me on that.
To make a video game? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, right? What the hell are we going to do with all that money?
I keep waiting on the, like, hey, you owe me money.
And so as part of that promise, as part of the Kickstarter, we committed to getting on the Apple phones. I don't know. It was very, very early in our day. And so we got a new game engine and we were making progress, and we found out that we could make this game engine. I think it was really part of our development environment. We just started running the game on PC all the time because that's where we were building the game, and we realized that it was actually quite playable. And much like maybe the dinosaur guys would eventually realize, like, hey, you could, like, people would maybe pay for this. And we added some PC features and brought it over through Greenlight. And I think at the time, to be completely honest, we had no expectation that we would ever greenlight. And we just put it up there to see if it could stick to the wall. And we're lucky and blessed to have a really powerful community behind us, and they helped us greenlight the game pretty quickly. So that kind of changed our purview of what we were looking at, and was our first game on Steam.
Yes, I didn't even realize that was you guys, because I remember playing that on my iPad way back in the when. like 2014 something.
Yep.
We're everywhere.
And you were thinking, wow, this is like someone like those TSR gold box games and was like, yo, I need this on my iPad. Because I think that's a lot of what I felt about Heroes of Steel was if you play those like Dark Sun, what was it, Pool of Radiance? That was the one Andrew and I really nerded out on. It's Pool of Radiance.
I realize I own this game and I still haven't played it. I'm going to have to fix that.
You need to fix it.
I do.
You need to fix that.
Yeah.
Getting sucked into that game, it's like seriously dangerous though, because it is really big.
Good.
That is, and I were talking about that today. It's like, it's very long. There is a lot of thing and story, and
no, good.
One of the cool things about that is that you can't grind any maps. That's one of the things I really like about that game is that once you clear a map, it's cleared. There's no point in the game where it's like, all right, now I need to go fight 600 guys to get my next widget. There's a fixed number of monsters for resources.
Yeah, which actually makes it kind of easy to balance because you know how much XP that person's party can potentially have. So it's not got JRPG syndrome where it's like, oh, I got to grind for like 10 levels before I can walk in that next room where the boss is. Because you know what they're going to be if they get there.
And you can skip it. You can like and what was Andrew?
Oh, yeah, agreed. I mean, there's a lot of optional content, so there's a lot of, you can end up at places in the game at very different levels, but it does mean that every time you go anywhere, you're doing it for a story or a quest or something that you are following. There's no repetitive, like, do this again crap. So it also leads the game to being astronomically huge. It was a very ambitious goal, and yeah.
You heard our budget, right? We had $20,000 to make games. So
yeah, but if you divide $20,000 by the 150 megs that the game takes up, it's actually not so bad. You know, $1 a megabyte.
That might get $20,000. Might get you one leg on a Star Citizen model. Maybe two.
a pair of legs, or maybe a partial torso.
Maybe. Slow down. Slow down.
A wheel for my ship.
You might get a tail light.
One landing gear strut, $20,000.
Very high polygon though, and really nice looking.
Yeah, I mean, gorgeous, just gorgeous.
And that's where Andrew and I started. We are a 2-person team, so if you look at our catalog, like you were saying, you look at Sides, and then look at Age of Pirates, and then look at Star Traders Frontiers, you might say this clearly can't be made by the same team. This Pirates game is, well, what's wrong with it? And then you look at Star Traders Frontiers, and you're like, you know, there's icons and color and buttons that do things and hovers and all sorts of fancy technology.
Well, but there's
come
more
a
color.
long way.
There's more color in space.
Hey,
so you just took the pirates and put them in space, and then it's colorful.
I don't know about you guys, but is Corey stuttering a bit for y'all, or is it just me?
No, I mean he does have an obvious speech impediment.
No, I mean, is his audio stuttering a bit?
Oh no,
like
I hear a tiny bit.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna switch servers. 1 second. All right. Sorry, folks.
I heard that if you're stuttering, it can actually you can sing. So if you sing the rest of the interview, then probably the stuttering will go away.
Sorry about that, folks. That's one of the downsides of doing this live. Is sometimes we have some technical issues. It's always on Tuesdays. Always on Tuesdays.
The internet breaks every Tuesday night.
Every Tuesday night, the internet breaks.
Clockwork, man. You can kind of blame Valve for that one, because that's when they work on the Steam backend.
Oh, now y'all sound like robots. Hang on a second.
I am an electronics tech.
All right, switch it again to the south. Let's hope that does it. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. Just please bear with us.
I think Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Oh, that sounds way better.
Yeah,
that sounds way better. Okay, phew.
Yeah.
This is what happens. Sorry.
back whenever you guys started this, there was no Unity, right? So you actually had to cook your own engine to write this in.
Yep.
So did you ever like switch over to Unity, or are you still running in a homebrew engine?
We're still in our weird homebrew, but we talk about Unity with stars in our eyes regularly.
It's like someday you'll make that like the rite of passage into the big engine. But
And we
I like what you guys are doing, because honest to God, I can't tell. I'm playing Star Traders, the new one, and it's just like, this game's great.
Well, we did have someone post on our Steam forum their tips for getting the best Unity performance out of our game.
Oh no.
And Andrew had to tell him, like, sorry, but like none of those command switches you're feeding into the game would do anything at all.
So is there a command line switch you can put that'll just convert the game over to Unity? Because that guy could save you a lot of time.
That would be awesome. I mean, I'm sure we could wrap it in a Unity executable and just like run our game inside of Unity. I think Andrew and I are excited about looking at Unity because there's a lot of cool things you can do. We make decisions with each game about the platform we use, and we're really trying to focus on the outcome. I think it's easy to say we'd make better games if we had Unity, or we'd make better space games if we had Unreal Engine under the hood. But there's a certain amount of, reality in Unity only looks as good as the assets you put in it. If you put all the same Star Traders Frontiers assets into Unity, it'll look pretty similar.
Yeah, that's fair.
So is this are you OpenGL based with this, or are you using DirectDraw? Because I figure coming from an iOS background, you'd be an OpenGL guy.
Yeah, it's OpenGL. All the OpenGLs.
Groovy. Do you guys have like a local Cocoa Heads meeting that you go to?
I was going to one when I lived in California, and then we went to one in Boston, and I have not found one when we moved to Indiana.
What's Cocoa Heads?
It's a iOS developer thing.
Oh.
Or just Mac developers. Anybody that's in the cult. If you got the tattoo, you can get in the door.
Nice. Show a receipt from the Apple Store.
Yeah.
Like you've bled for the cause.
Yeah. A friend of mine actually has an Apple tattoo on his forearm. He greatly regrets.
So is this the only game that you've made that's had sequels? Because I'm looking at your catalog. It looks like it is, but I'm not 100%.
So far, there aren't any other sequels. I can't say that we're going to make CK2, but we might make it. And Andrew wants to make a sequel to Heroes.
As you guys mentioned, we have a pretty wide range of genres and worlds now. I think 4 individual worlds. So we're more and more thinking about, and there's a big pile of games in the Star Traders universe. And as we kind of think about next games, it seems silly to go off and make a bunch of new worlds when we have some really popular ones that we have players in. So we are definitely looking at a Cyberknights 2 or a sequel. We're not really into the number game, so it'll definitely not be called Cyberknights 2, but another Cyberpunk game is very likely our next game. Corey and I have to like fight to the death to decide, but we're gonna find out pretty soon what the next game is.
More Templar Battle Force.
What? No, I was gonna say what you should do is go the rules of engagement / breach model and have the next game in the series interlink. So whenever you board a ship, it's Templar. It's in the Templar Battle Force game.
Yeah. Well, what we need is basically not Gundam that plays like BattleTech and is like. Have you guys ever seen Mega Mech, which is the open source BattleTech thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So can we have Templar Mega Mech? That would be great. You can get $1 out of me pretty quick for that.
Yeah, it's gonna cost us more like $20,000. I think that's how much games cost.
$22,000, maybe 23.
My understanding of game budgets, you may have to check with Andrew, but anything above $20,000, I sort of lose track of it.
It's kind of like Watership Down. You can only count to 20,000. Anything above 20,000 is a million.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're like, that's too expensive. It's either $20,000 to make that video game,
You might need a
I don't know.
Kickstarter and an Indiegogo campaign.
Oh
Have you
shit!
ever read or seen Watership Down? Because it's about little bunny rabbits.
Oh yeah,
and,
love it.
and they can't count above 5. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a million.
I'm pretty sure if Andrew had his way, we would definitely eventually make a video game that included rabbits carrying maces and wearing helmets.
I would play.
Oh man, I've been working on the rodents in the video games for a long time, but Corey's very resistant. He's tough cookie.
I'm thinking Tooth and Tail beat you to it on that one.
Yeah, it's a little late now. See that, Corey?
It's never too late. I mean, what are they in Warhammer? The Skaven, right? Is that
Skaven, indeed?
Yeah.
It was. I think our love started with like Redwall. Andrew, what was that comic book you were reading? Like Mouse Hats or Mouse Warriors or something?
Oh, wasn't it just Mouse? Wasn't it just MAUS? Wasn't it just Mouse?
No, there's. I know what he's talking about.
Oh, because there was one that was like
D&D with mice.
Oh
Yeah.
no. I'm thinking there was like a World War II comic where the mice were the French resistance, and it was called MAUS.
That's Mouse.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, no, this thing is.
It was so good.
As soon as you said it, it's like I had completely lost that from any memory, and then as soon as you said like, oh yeah, the thing with the mice, I got that mental image of it was like a couple of mice like on a log with their swords and shields out, and like I don't know if I saw an ad for this thing somewhere, or maybe I like the book or something.
Mouse Guard.
Mouse Guard. That's it.
Found it on the internet.
Oh my.
Mouse Guard, yeah, not Mouse Hat, Mouse Guard.
Is it pen and paper, or
pretty
what
good.
is that? That's
like
a pen and
comic
paper
book,
game, right?
Isn't it? Is it a book or a? I don't even know. I just know it's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's
I think it's a game. I think it's a board game.
So someone in our Discord chat was saying something about one issue they had with Heroes of Steel is like there's no option better than an autosave, and they worry about playing for so long without being able to save on their own. Is that a concern you've gotten from other players?
So you can't back up, right? Because it always saves at the latest.
I'm guessing that's what they're saying. Yeah.
Yep. That is true. People can do like. Go ahead. You call it a feature?
Yeah. I mean, we have some people that'll post save scumming suggestions in places, but all of our games actually include that same auto saving concept that the entire catalog through and through saves for you automatically as you play, so that you can feel the consequences of your choices and die a legend.
I feel the Iron Man burn. Every difficulty level is Iron Man.
You know, Heroes of Steel is very forgiving. Like if you play on the lower difficulties, it saves all the time, but it's almost impossible for you to lose anything. Because if you die, you're just going to go back to the inn. So it's just not something that our games feature as a manual saving.
So this latest game is like the everything I've wanted in a game, right?
Oh, really?
It's because that one game that's on Steam, Viceroy, where it's like you sit and you kind of make political decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a political conversation tree of a game, and you guys have that going on in here because you talk to people, and it's like I went to the is it the same starter quest every time you start a new game? Like you go to the planet, and that's the guy's daughter that blew up the space station,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, that starter quest is always offered. You can ignore it, and you can go a bunch of different ways with it, but it is always available at the beginning of the game.
Okay, so but it's a procedurally generated map, right?
It
like
is.
beyond that first 2 system thing.
Even the 2 systems are actually procedurally generated, so it's a thing we've worked a lot on, is finding that the place where you can weave procgen and handwritten content together. So even the system that the arbiter starts on and the prints start on are generated procedurally and then picked from what was created procedurally as his home world, as an example.
Yeah, because I've been, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to the show before, but it's like my greatest hobby is to bitch about Elite Dangerous
Mm-hmm.
kind of on a weekly basis. That Elite Dangerous is not this game, basically. And I don't even need like the deep NPC interaction. I don't need the narrative in there, but just the stuff about like, okay, there's different pricing, and it seems like the pricing is actually a dynamic market that's going on, you know, and it's just, I don't know, it just makes sense, right? As far as if I just want to play this game as a trader, if I want to play it as a pirate, I can get a ship, ignore the damn quest, go sandbox it, and do whatever the hell I want to do.
That's true. But we are going to include some, like Andrew was saying, the join between the narrative and the sandbox. We're going to have some things that happen, like eras, like Dark Ages and economic surges and plagues and things. So as you play through the game, you may be ignoring the story, but there will be news and things in the galaxy that are happening. Maybe you can decide to take advantage of or run away from or get involved in. So there'll be
Nice.
There'll be stuff that happens over time. And then the contacts you are all individual AI scripts that are out to each other and gain dominance over their planet and faction. So that's one of the things that changes game to game, is that prince you meet at the beginning has different friends, and the other princess has different friends of different power levels, and their interaction will all go under this AI competition script. So after you get involved, different things happen, and it can end up going very different directions for the galaxy you're playing in.
That's great.
That's wonderful. Because, yeah, one of our complaints about Elite Dangerous is nothing you do matters. Nothing at all. You make money, you buy a new ship, whoop-de-doo. You know, I mean, nothing you do.
There's no impact. It's kind of,
yeah.
It's the worst part of the MMO-itis, where it's like, I killed the dragon, I'm the hero, and I look over my shoulder and the dragon's back, and the next guy's killing it. Oh, well, I guess I didn't really change anything. And it's just that kind of deal with that thing. But with this game, it's kind of like, well, do I want to go support this guy? That's the thing that we like a lot about Drox Operative, right? Is it's also a procedurally generated thing.
And there are factions to support and all that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. And
so I'm just digging that. Like, everything about that is great, and the universe kind of feels a little bit Dooney, because you know, there's like the great houses and the arbiters, kind of Bene Gesserit-ish kind of feel to it. And
yeah, we love Dune. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I kind of suspected there was an influence from that, but there's like a bunch of other stuff too. Yeah, but I mean, it's not like a straight lift of that. It's just there's noble houses that are running the planets, but the planets are all very different, right? And then whenever you go somewhere and you talk to somebody, then you have the option of, like, in the conversation tree, then you can get referrals to other NPCs that you can go talk to. And depending on, I assume, depending on the tone of conversation I have with that person is how much they're going to like me or not. And I might go down a different path with them. And, if I do their missions for them, then they'll probably, I do for you, you're going to do for me.
Yeah, we've tried to be as cool about that as we can in the game. So there's things you can say, even in casual conversation. There are places where you can accidentally, you might know you're doing it, but insult characters or kind of butter them up, and their personal reputation with you will change. And there's a lot of places where you can simply tell someone something and they will cut you off. If you say, I'm going to tell this other actor about what you're doing, and they say, well, then that's it. I can't have you involved anymore. So you'll get cut out of their story. So we try to really have as much of that really flowing impact as we can.
Yeah, it was like with the Arbiter, right? I had, we're getting along nice, and then I asked her a question, and she shut me down. She's just like, yeah, we're not going to have a conversation about that. Okay. New subject.
Yeah, I gotta say, it reminds me of Eve a little bit, the contact system. But I love that. I love that there are different people you can meet that have missions for you. Because I'm all about missions, and one thing I kind of love about this game is that it doesn't care what level you are. Oh, here's a mission where you got to go kill a guy for 200,000 credits. You just started. Oh, I'll go do that, and I'll die, but I can do it. I can choose it.
And we are working on improving the kind of the warning and the context in game reaction when you're like, I'm gonna kill him, and you're like, well, you sure? Because we do want that to be an option, because sometimes you luck it out, and that'll be a game that you're gonna remember because you're like, I had to get like 2 lucky hits on that bounty hunter and we somehow won.
And I kind of love how you have an officer pool that you can talk to, you know, about your choices.
That's really neat too.
Yeah.
The advisor stuff from the crew. Because it's, I assume that consult button becomes more than just like a tutorial thing, right? So it's kind of like, hey, there's a situation. What should I do? Let me poll the crew. And then you get the opinion of your officers. Like, maybe you should do this or maybe that. Or maybe get a preview of what your choices would result in.
We're definitely working on improving that. And I think that's the direction we want it to go. It's probably not anywhere near where it will end up in terms of its ability to really draw you into the character of your officers. Because one of the cool things I think about this game is that the characters have more than just their stats. They have a world. They have these personality traits that can make, you know, one doctor versus another very different characters, even though they have the same training.
And they have quips. I love that they have quips. Like, you'll go into orbit of a planet and somebody like, are we going to land, sir? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's not all just your flag officers either. It's just random dudes in the crew. Which would be interesting. Maybe it happens. But the general morale in the crew, right? Like, if somebody is low morale, maybe they bitch about stuff, or, you know, and if they're high morale, then they're like telling jokes and whatever.
That'd be
so
funny.
Maybe you can kind of get the tone of the crew through things that get said. But I've noticed, like, in the travel stuff, there's a lot of dice rolling that's going on, right? Like, I'm just flying from one planet to another, and it's like, you know, I discovered that the doctor that I've got has a tough trait, and I learned that apparently because of my captain's charisma. And then somebody else got a trait, concentration, and morale rose after I paid these guys. So there's a really nice log here that's telling me what's going on.
I do love that.
But when you're on a long flight, it's like that stuff just rolls by, and it's kind of like, oh crap, I flew into an asteroid. You know, I blew a roll there. So it seems like, is it like every day of travel you make like one encounter roll or something to see like a good bad thing happens, or what's the frequency?
It's every shift you get a test, and sometimes there's nothing happens. It's just empty space. Sometimes there's a chance that you run into a ship and it rolls, and then sometimes there's a tactics test or a pilot test. So, and based on the difficulty, you'll have more or less ships that have a test. So on basic difficulty, you could sail for a longer distance and nothing's going to be checked. And then on higher difficulty, you're constantly going to be tested.
And I do.
So is it?
Sorry, go ahead.
Is it going to be like Mass Effect, where I can start romancing the crew and just be a space whore? Then probably not. Don't do that, please.
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Oh, yet. Oh, boy.
The steamy sex cutscenes with the blue girls.
Please don't. No, but I like how, I was going to say, I like how those die rolls that happen every shift can affect, like, how much you pay for repairs when you get to, you know, a starport, or how much you pay for fuel because your pilot was terrible and wasted a bunch of fuel. You know, I just like how all this feeds into each other.
Yeah, it puts a good maintenance, sort of a maintenance backdrop to the game. And I always think of Firefly and how they have the line, like, you just have to keep flying.
Yes.
So the ship is constantly falling apart, like shit's breaking. I don't know, can I say that? Sorry. Stuff is breaking, like things are going bad. And you have to kind of pay to keep things running and to keep flying. You've got to find work or you're going down in flames. So it kind of puts a good pressure on you. And also from a balance standpoint, it means you can't just be like a combat crew only. You can't only fire torps. You've got to actually have enough of a competent electronics tech and crew dog kind of core to your crew to keep the thing running. And you need a doctor because there's space parasites and space plagues, and And you've got to have the right group of people on the boat, or things go terribly wrong, and you know why. Like, no one's here to command these people. They're going nuts again.
But the
And
doctor doesn't.
if you over specialize, it'll kill you.
Yeah, but the doctor doesn't heal everybody, right? It's like I have to get to a planet that's got an actual medical facility, and then I can pay money to heal people. But it seems like the doctor can't keep up with it. And with a lot of the mishaps and stuff that happen, it's like I'm flying along and, oh man, I rolled a 1 reactor breach, like everybody took 10 damage. And then it's like I get to the planet and that costs me a boatload of money. Or will the doctor eventually fix that on the ship if I just burn time?
Yeah, I mean, from a game design standpoint, one thing we really don't want to encourage is any just like flying in circles. So your onboard doctor fixes things. So the doctor is mitigating that sort of damage. And I think as we keep going and get more and more ship components and beef up the onboard hospitals, that'll like be able to reduce the damage of the reactor that blew up more.
Yeah, because I mean, if you message that as like, the crew took 20 damage, but it's -8, so you only took 12 because of the doctor's skill roll or whatever.
That would make you feel a lot better about the hospital or the doctor. Like, prevented 2 people from getting, radiation burns. 4 of them were still burned, but the hospital saved 2 or whatever.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. I miss the clatter of the dice, right? But it's with all these rolls, it's like, God, how many rolls if I had to manually roll all that crap, I would just spend the entire journey like clicking on the dice, right? So I'm kind of glad that you don't make me do it.
Well, if it was a pen and paper game, we'd make you roll every.
Oh yeah, but it's I wonder though, like the log that goes on here, is that a permanent thing that gets dumped out to a file somewhere? Because if I have a particularly epic game, it's like, have you listened to any of those Dwarf Fortress stories that get posted up on Reddit where people tell this epic tale? Yeah, man, just you have to enable that to happen by maybe not like every silly roll that happens out in space about the captain's charisma or whatever, but like the major things and the decisions that you make and stuff like that. I would say like dump that out to a log somewhere with some permanence to it.
If so you check the status, if you go to your status screen, there is a captain's log that has the big events in permanence.
But I can't get that out of the game though, right?
No. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I just need like an export to Excel button or something.
Yeah, that actually wouldn't be too hard for the and we're gonna work on like the content that gets copied in log is gonna be like today it's like the high points, like people die or get recruited, and then we'll have the ability to write in like add your own log entries right in. And I like the idea to export it. That was a popular feature in the first game. People have sent me games where they're like, I played this for 2 years and like has 7,000 entries in it and stuff, and it's exactly what you said. Those Dwarf Fortress, the stories we can tell as players with the games we love, those things really make us want to keep playing.
Yeah, and I don't want to work the art department too hard, but what I did is I went through and I set like all the generic crew people to the same uniform. And there's one that's like a military uniform, and the rest of the stuff is kind of mercenary or whatever looking. But it's, I kind of like Starfleeted everybody. And then the flag officers, I've actually got personality too, right? But it's like, there's no uniform that really looks like, okay, that's my medic. And that's my, my combat commando guy. And these are my engineers or whatever. So it's almost like I want role specific clothes for my guys, so I can just identify them without having to name them like engineer or whatever. And maybe like more heads, right? Because it's kind of like it's like the facial features are tied to the head. So it's like this guy has a goatee and that guy doesn't. Well, I wish he did. So it's almost like I wish I could actually just modify hair and like facial hair and stuff on the different faces. So, more of a paper doll system there. But that's like minor aesthetic stuff, right? hey, if it's to the point where that's all I can find to bitch about, mission accomplished.
Yeah, that sounds
Exactly.
pretty good. Well, we have actually heard what you're saying a lot, that people want better, cleaner, and more obvious uniforms, and they'd like crew to like conform when they're hired. So your mechanics should always put on the mechanic gear when they get on the boat.
Yep,
And if
all
want
that
to change
stuff.
them, then you should be able to.
You're not alone in that.
Yeah, the crowd is changing.
And then definitely the same request is going around that if you have an outfit in a male form, that there should be something at least roughly similar in the female form. So if you've got like I don't know, that there's that one, I think for the guys, there's a very clean cut kind of Starfleet sort of uniform. And people are looking for a similar clean cut uniform in the girls. So there isn't one. So
yeah,
we just added hats before Christmas. So we're pretty excited about that. And we've got a big roadmap ahead of us of new outfits and faces. We're gonna easily double it before we launch the game live on Steam.
Now,
out at early access.
Is the game moddable at all? Like, will people be able to say add their own outfits? I mean, I know you're using your own engine, but I'm not sure how moddable that is.
We've already had a couple people doing it. It's not, the only problem is it's not supported right now, so people are doing it at their own risk. We've got some proof of concepts in Templar Battle Force. You can mod outfits and faces, and they stick around successfully between updates. Like it's supported. So we're headed that direction. We're excited to get there, but right now in early access, it's not something that's top priority for us. But we've got people already going in and doing it. Probably players of Battle Force who know what they're doing and are just putting in Star Wars stuff or whatever their favorite genre stuff is.
Oh, yeah, man. I saw the Stormtrooper uniform someone put in.
Awesome.
Oh, really?
If you do workshop support for the characters and the ships, oh man, double your sales overnight, guaranteed.
Yeah, I think
I'm not kidding.
Technically, I think we want to. I don't know what the market impact will be, but we want to get the game to. With only two of us, it's tricky. We have to focus on getting the game done and adding workshop support, because getting like the game's buggy and half done right now, and you can mod this buggy half done thing. We don't feel like people are as excited about that. But when it gets out of early access and we say it's done and stable, here's the wiki, here's the mod kit, I think then it'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have the workshop stuff in mind, especially just for like ships and crew, just graphic stuff, right? Where people can just do cosmetic things to the game. I absolutely assure you that it will do wonders for your sales, because people are going to start telling like Star Trek and Star Wars stories in this thing, or the Dune mod will be quickly upon you, right? And there's a lot of IP things that you can't do because they'll sue you into the ground. But
yeah, that modders can do. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's why there's been a couple of games that have come through here that I was like, oh God, please put in mod support, right? Specifically Starhammer Vanguard Prophecy, right? And he recently got the Battlestar Galactica IP, and he's great success with that. But my God, if that first game had mod support, we would have had like X-Wing miniatures converted over into that thing like overnight. It would have been like the day after it came out. It would have been like, hey, here's the giant Star Wars total conversion.
I think the BSG game actually did pretty well, or is doing pretty well. So I think that might, who knows, that might give Slytherin an in to maybe try and get that license. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but at this point, they're not going to let you mod your own IP in, because they lose the ability to license things and sell you the game again with a new skin on it, right? So it's kind of the unfortunate thing of success, is because they actually did get an IP. Now we're not going to see an open license to do what we want with it, I don't think.
But that's fine. I mean,
I haven't played Deadlock.
It's so good.
Yeah, we're going to pause the show right now, and then you're going to go play Dead. Back in an hour.
I played the heck out of Starhammer, but...
Yeah, the thing with Starhammer that killed me, it's the shrimp, dude. I don't want to fight shrimp in space.
Deadlock is... Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Deadlock is even better than Starhammer because it's got this amazing map that's much more dynamic than Starhammer. So you not only have like these main missions you got to do, but there are all these side missions. Like if you protect this planet, they'll support you more, in the quorum. So yeah, there's a much more dynamic meta game going on.
It's kind of got an
And
action.
co-op is fun too.
Yes.
Jim and I did the co-op in that, and that was great.
Yeah, we need to revisit that now that the free LC is out with the new ships, because that was really the only downside of that thing, was that the ship choices were kind of limited. But then again, there's not like a great variety. It's like, well, there's battle stars and cruisers and stuff, right? So you only really need about 5 or 10 ships. But it's nice.
Yeah,
to
and
see
some of that's
variety.
like an IP limit, right? Like
I think so, yeah. Because it's early in the Cylon War, so there's only so much they can do. There's only so many ships they can have. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
seven per team, pretty much.
Yeah.
So with us, sorry, go ahead.
The one thing that you guys were talking about earlier, that it's time, folks. I'm gonna bitch about Elite. The one thing, yay, here it comes. The one thing that you guys said about the driving thing behind the game is that you just don't have the ship and you go fly in circles and whatever, is because you actually have to take missions to pay the rent, right? It's like just the cost of operating the ship. You got to pay the crew. It's like you got to pay the rent and make your car payment, right? And if you don't, then what happens? Do you just go out of business? Do they come and try to repo the ship, or what? The ship just breaks and it can't fly anymore, and you get like a game over screen.
Yep. Your crew all leaves, then your ship catches on fire. You drift to base, you see the game over screen.
Excellent.
They
Pretty
can
much what happens to
mutiny
me.
as well, so there can be a bloodbath on the ship at the end there if people get really unhappy.
We could kill. Yep.
So wait, if there's a mutiny, because I was playing today and I finally got to the boarding bit, which was really a lot of fun. Is there a mutant? If there's a mutiny, is it like the boarding bit, but with your own people fighting against each other?
It was during the alpha, but we took it because it was just too hardcore.
Oh, that's fair.
We found that we found this issue where people were losing the game because they would or build a couple of specialists, and then something would happen with them, like get drunk or morale penalties, and then they'd have a mutiny, and their like super soldier dude would kill the captain in like 2 shots because the player equips them, and then you give them to the AI, and the AI is like, I see what to do. Okay. And you've like min-maxed one soldier, and he mutinies everyone. So what we ended up doing was kind of building a meta game where the strength of the mutineers isn't directly tested with the combat AI, because it was really hard to control. Like if 3 crew dogs mutinied, you shoot them. If your soldier mutinies, it's bad.
Well, no, then he should just become the new captain, and you can continue on playing as him.
Do you want to run the ship? Yes.
Suggested. We talked about that a couple of different times. Like, does that make sense in the game lore? And it's always exciting. Like, I think does Sunless Sea do that? I feel like Sunless
I think
Sea
so.
has
I think Sunless Sea does
they
have
had a
that.
successor system there.
Yeah, successor system, which is fun. We talked about it. I think we've kind of settled on our permadeath. Captain is the old man at sea, old woman at sea. But the fact that the story of them being this immortal, I think it's very it fits into the myth of the sailor, the Davy Jones sort of.
Yeah.
Because when you get into the later game, you're like, I'm coming back and visiting this prince. Like, I did business with his father, 120 years ago. Like, I met Callaghan Fenn, and now it's like, generations later, I'm still showing up in my ship, buying and selling at this world. So,
oh wow! So hey, this is your first DLC opportunity. Then, is you name the DLC number 1, "The Captain is Dead," and you are that guy that took over because the captain just died somehow, right? And you can have like a generation system of like, how did the captain die? Right?
There's a board game for that.
Yeah, I know.
It's The Captain is Dead.
Oh, is it really?
Yes,
well,
it's called
never mind. Let's not do that.
I own it. It's great.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
so
it's a great board game.
Concept's great. We're gonna need to work on the title because it sounds like it's taken.
Title might be slightly impaired.
That's amazing, though. That's amazing. Make it like a Klingon ship.
Yeah, it's like, did you kill the captain? Did he die from like Venusian syphilis? You know, like what happened? And
natural
it would almost be
causes.
like Traveler.
Natural causes.
Dysentery.
Wink, wink. Yeah.
Space dysentery.
Or you could make it like Soul Trader, where you could actually die during character creation.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
you
what I was
can
going to
begin
say.
the
These guys, they have a background in Traveler, so they know all about dying and character creation.
Oh yeah.
The only version of Traveler, I gotta ask you guys this. The only version I've ever played was this game called Space on the Apple back in it was like a late 70s, early 80s game. Did you guys play that one at all?
Doesn't ring a bell.
It was pretty much a direct port of Traveler. Like you could die during character creation and all that kind of stuff. And I never got far because I think I lost 3 characters while I was making them.
Awesome.
That was mean.
You know what you guys need? It just came to me. With like the $20,000 that you're gonna get from doing this show, you can hire the guy from Darkest Dungeon, the narrator, and then have him actually narrate the game.
Wouldn't that be the entire $20,000?
Yeah, blow $20,000 on that dude.
And in my opinion, it would be worth every penny.
Yes.
The crew's morale was very low.
I actually haven't played that one. Is the narrator awesome? Is it like Dungeon Keeper awesome?
He's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Not only is the narrator fantastic, but the writing staff. The problem is we could hire him for $20,000. We'd have to read our stuff, which is like, the crew has misused the air and are badly injured. No, but their narrator is fantastic, and their writing is really good. I think that's the unsung hero of the Darkest Dungeon Hook project. Is the writing is just
and I think that game wouldn't exist without Bastion, kind of like
Really?
inspiring all that. Yeah, because Bastion. Have you not played Bastion, Brian?
Yes, I've played Bastion.
Okay, yeah, because that game, it's like the narrator is the game. Which I was first playing it, and it was like talking, and I'm like, oh, I'm following the story. And then I realized, no, he's just saying what I'm doing. And whatever I do, he says, this is awesome.
another great game.
Yeah, great soundtrack, too.
By the way, hello, I'm Hunter.
Hi, Hunter. Welcome.
I didn't meet you guys earlier. Sorry about that. Sorry I'm late, everybody.
How traffic to treat you?
Yeah, well, Charlotte is a mystery to me. I wanted to add, I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but for some reason when I play your game, I get a very weird Star Crash vibe to it. Anybody else see that? Very
like David Hasselhoff
Wait,
in a laser mask.
The movie Star Crash? Oh.
There's
I could
kind of
see that.
Game that makes me feel like I'm like playing through a 70s or 80s epic sci-fi B movie, and I love it. I don't know why. I just get that feeling. I don't know if it's the character design or what it is, but I was digging it. And I was like, I feel like I'm playing like Star Crash, like as if it were a game.
You know, you guys could sneak some things in there from B movies. Like the quest for the blue star, where you have to pick up this android named Galaxina.
This one guy wants his vintage flying motorcycle, and he's got he's got a blue headband. He's got a blue bandana, and he really wants that vintage flying motorcycle.
That wasn't in space, but it was close enough.
Close enough.
That movie was so high, it was kind of in space.
You know, sorry, this brings up the long lost fantasy that I really needed to see a Galactica 1980 like Chips remake.
Oh god. Oh no.
Do you guys remember that?
Oh no.
The flying.
Yes.
It was like
yes.
Battlestar Galactica and Chips had a baby, and that cheesy schlock.
It was so
I need more
bad.
of that in my life.
Do you guys know? Side note: do you know what I got for Christmas from a friend? I got Street Hawk, the complete series on DVD. Do you guys remember Street Hawk?
That's minutes of entertainment right there.
I don't know whether to be jealous or.
Oh, you should be jealous.
Treehawk was Knight Rider with a motorcycle.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. It was Knight Rider with a motorcycle, and it was terrible.
Whenever he'd hit turbo boost, and they'd just like hit fast forward on the VCR.
Yeah, yep. And instead of the talking car, he had that geeky guy back at base, the guy in the chair. You know, that was. Oh, such a terrible show.
Okay, so speaking about super AI like Knight Rider motorcycles, so the guy that was in the Warriors, right, and then in
that poor guy and Xanadu.
Yeah, that guy.
That
so
poor
there's another
guy.
movie that he's in.
No,
where it's post-apocalyptic.
Oh no,
and he has a Knight Rider motorcycle.
No, he doesn't.
It's like a magic. It's a magic sentient motorcycle.
No,
yes. I will get this movie.
No,
I think I know what you're talking about.
I know it's not Time Rider: The Legend of Lyle Swan.
No.
That's a great movie.
Spoiler: he's his own grandpa.
What? Oh,
awesome.
That guy picked the worst movies to be in. That poor guy.
Yeah, that and Remo Williams.
His age was really good at script selection.
Yeah, that and the guy who played Remo
Williams.
Williams.
Megaforce, are you?
No, well, yes, originally
the guy, one of the guys from Megaforce was also in the Warriors, and then he was in Xanadu, and then he was in Megaforce. It's like, what's happening to your career? What is going on?
He needed the money.
Apparently he had a boat payment, and he's
Well, sometimes you can't just take the job that you want. You have to pay upkeep on the spaceship. So
that's true.
That's how we got here. Right?
That's true.
So with this game, because it actually has entropy in it, unlike Elite, where nothing ever breaks, I don't have to pay upkeep. I don't even have to pay for fuel for my ship.
You have to fix your paint job, Jim. Jim, you have to fix your paint job.
10 credits every time.
10 credits every time you talk. You have to fix your fucking paint job. It got scraped a little bit.
And basically, if you don't get shot up, then you don't have to ever spend any money on upkeep. So there's no reason. There is nothing draining money on me. So I don't feel any impetus like, oh God, I gotta get in here and actually start flying missions and hauling cargo and doing things. And I want Elite to be basically Euro Truck Simulator in space, where I have my own business and I got to pay for that. And I got to make sure like the secretary gets paid, and I got to bribe dispatchers and, whatever else you do in that. But it's like, there is no upkeep of the ship. And in this game, there's hella entropy on that ship. It's almost like an entropy simulator.
Tangent. Was it Battle Truck?
No, but that is another terrible thing.
Because that came out the same year as Megaforce. Anyway, continue.
All of this is on
oh man. Anyway.
You're just going down the list of movies in my collection.
Anyway, yeah, that is one great thing about this game, is that what you do matters. Like, just moving from one planet to the next, you might have these terrible things happen on the way, like a battle, or you might, like, your ship might break. But I also love that
if you have to fly far, right? You got to pay for the fuel for that.
You got to pay for the fuel.
The longer you fly, the more you just have to pay upkeep on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So you better be taking jobs along the way, not just go from A to Z without stopping in the middle.
Well, you can't
think about this stuff.
You can't stack jobs, I don't think, can you?
You can. You just have to be careful that you don't get in over your head, promise things that are working against each other, or agree to go through any dangerous territory. As you ramp up the difficulty level, the idea is that the game pushes you to have to play more different aspects of it. On basic, you can just do missions. They pay well enough, fuel's cheap enough. You don't even really need to trade along the way. You bump the difficulty up. Now you can do missions, but you also need to trade occasionally profitably while you go. And on Impossible, you need to be paying attention to rumors, exploiting every conflict you see. When there's a shortage, you need to trade into it. When there's a surplus, you need to buy out of it.
Wow.
Because the cost of everything just go. That's one of the big difficulty factors, is how much is fuel, how much is repair, how much do your crew want, how pesky are the enemies. And as you go towards Impossible, everything just gets more and more expensive. So it isn't that it introduces new mechanics. It's just that it turns up the heat a little bit. So you need to make a few more actions every jump, a few more trades every mission to just keep ahead of that, keep the ship flying kind of thinking.
One thing I love that you can also do in the game besides missions and trading is exploring planets. Not enough games have that, I think, especially open world, like trading mission games like this. Like, they just assumed all the planets are fully explored and there's nothing to find anywhere, you know? But I like how, oh, there's a wilderness on this planet. I'm going to see what I can fuck up and find. And I gotta say, that is great.
I like
going back to the first game. You could
exactly.
set up a cache. You could set up a supply cache.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff. If you need it later, you can go back to it.
Yeah, like a hidden treasure.
This game's exploration is a little bit. It feels more personal. I know in the first game, I would occasionally land at the Cliffs of Insanity and be like, "How many people would you like to take exploring?" 70, and it would be like 80 people died, and you're like, "Wait." That's unfortunate. I will just go recruit some more. Now, when it's like 3 people have died, I'm like, wait, who died? And I go to the log and I'm like, no, not Bob. Bob's my best dude. How did he die? He fell into a lava pit. That idiot. It feels much more, because there's characters, it feels like a lot more involved. It's more that, it depends on how you look at it. You can play it and feel like Darkest Dungeon, like, oh, I just lost Bob, or it's Starhawk, and you're like, stupid Bob, and you giggle and laugh and click recruit some more, and you laugh about the people falling into the lava. So it really, I think it depends on how you view the game, which is something that we've seen true of a lot of our Star Traders games, is people have different, perspectives on how grim they want to feel about the crew dying.
Oh, I'm of the, like, I don't want to lose one crew member. They're all super important besties to me, and none of them can die. And if one leaves, I take it real hard.
You would not want to be. You would not want to be on Andrew's ship, because Andrew runs it like Kirk.
Oh no!
He's like, oh, hello, level 1 bullet shield. Have fun in the
into the fray with you.
He sent me a save game. I was like, wait, is there a bug with these recruits? And he's like, no. I'm like, I really recruited that many guys. Like, how? What happened to them all?
Why? What was the deal? What was the deal with these?
It keeps count of how many you recruit. So if you just, I needed those people. Just had to keep finding more people.
To 20 years. I mean, he shows back. I don't imagine how in game it worked. He shows back up at the Spice Hall and he's like, hey, anybody want to join my crew? And they're like, weren't you here 3 weeks ago? Didn't Bob and Bill and Sam all join your crew? Yeah, they quit. Do you want to join?
They violently quit.
They quit when they fell into the lava pit. I stopped paying them once they were charred to death.
They were no longer assets to my organization.
They are former crew, retired, so to speak.
Retired.
And they have a log entry that indicates where they died and when. So you can go back for your Dwarf Fortress story and say, well, I recruited him on Morovia Peak, and then 3 days later he died at Edge Delta.
Holy crap.
That poor guy. 10 years ago, we went through a rough period where we may have had some bad things happen, but...
Now, I'll be honest, I've only been playing on the normal difficulty level because I am a coward, but the nice thing is, this game can kind of cater to cowards. Like, if you run into a ship, I would have bribed them and run away. I really like you have the option for people who don't want to fight everyone that comes their way. It's really nice.
Absolutely. And on the higher difficulties, tactical surrender is a really key strategy. I've surrendered to pirates where I'm like, you know what? I don't want this load of cargo. I'm not even going to fight you. You just take it. Take the 30 units of bio waste. It's yours. And you can diffuse a lot of politically sticky situations by just giving them your cargo and leaving.
That's awesome.
So what if you don't have any cargo? And it's like, hey, there's pirates. And it's like, haha, joke's on them. All right, shut off the engines. Are they still going to screw with your ship or steal some of your crew?
It depends on how hostile you are towards the faction. If they're there to kill you, surrendering is a bad idea. The game does a good job of eliminating options that are violently bad for your ship. So if it presents you with a surrender button, they might beat you up. They might drag you before a kangaroo court, but they won't kill you or take your crew or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because like in the first mission, I got the Arbiter on my ship, and I got pirates, and I'm like, should I heave to see what they do? No, they might take her.
Do they kill? Does anybody kill the Arbiter, Andrew?
No, the Zendu. No pirate is going to be that stupid, so they will never take other passengers.
They'll
whisked off
execute
your ship, but not
your
her.
passengers. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't sure if she was special or not. Like if you're just transporting somebody's friend, the pirates will definitely kill them if they hate them, and the contact that you worked with could be really teed off at you.
Yeah, well, and you could get in a situation where it's like, we don't have a beef with you, but you got to give us that guy that we don't like, and then we'll let you go. Yeah.
Oh, can that happen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So did the pirates ever hail you and just say, "Hey, this is what we want," or does it always? Do you have to get into the fight thing, like the fight or the? It's almost like I would like to have some negotiation before I decide if I'm going to fight or shut the engines off.
There's a couple of tabs on there, like the political and the crew report, that will tell you like why they're after you. And that could be like, this contact has sent them as a bounty hunter to kill you, or they're after you because there's a pirate fleet here or whatever. It can give you some clues. And there are abilities that your crew can train. I can't think of any offhand other than Skip Off the Void, Andrew, but Stiff Salute.
Stiff Salute. Depending on there's kind of a matching
Jettison Cargo.
Jettison Cargo. Depending on your type of characters and their types of, if they're a military officer, there's certain things you can do to get friendly with them or forge signatures. If they're a bounty hunter, there are certain things you can do. If they're a smuggler, there are certain talents you can use. So there are a lot of different crew members, especially your officers, who can kind of help you find those negotiation tactics, but it takes a bit. It's all done through talents and not kind of generic options always provided. So bribe is there depending, but then if you want to get through pirates, you should look into merchants or other pirates to kind of help you work that out.
Wow.
Okay,
so sorry. Go ahead.
Not only am I working like for the big houses and stuff, but can I just like buddy up to pirate factions that are out there, or are the pirates all? Is it kind of like Sid Meier's Pirates, where it's like, okay, there's a bunch of freebooters out there, but they're actually politically backed. You know, it's like you got a letter of marque from somebody that says, which I noticed I can't actually buy that from that first dude. It's just like, yeah, if I pay this guy, then I can go out and sack other ships in his name.
Yep. There's it's more privateers than pirates. There are indie factions that are like unaffiliated, non-political pirates that you can get involved with the story. They're a bit extreme in some of their political views, but right, Andrew, you can get involved with some of their fringe.
Yeah, you could get involved in the Hunter Collective. Some would call them terrorists. Some would call them freedom fighters. Some would call them crazy. So there are some really out there indie factions that are completely on their own. But mostly if you're pirating, you're doing it more like a privateer for someone or for yourself, but often flying under someone's flag.
So you should just go all the way and put the nudge and wink in to Sid Meier and just have like a sword fighting competition and a dancing competition, and you can like court the governor's daughter or something.
We're working on adding a new type of rumor. There's a lot of rumor events that happen, so they're kind of things happening across the galaxy, different risk and rewards you might chase, and we're looking at the Spice Festival being a upcoming type of rumor. And I personally would love to see like pit fighting open up during the Spice Festival, so you could take your crew there and send in 4 people to the pit, so that you can have those sword fighting competitions. I don't know about there's governor's daughters, but
I'm pretty sure this is Andrew just wanting to kill more of his crew. All I hear with pit fighting is like, I'm going to recruit some dudes. I'm going to send them in there and bet money on them.
Now,
Space Vegas.
Can there be rumors about you? Like if you start making a name for yourself, can there be like rumors about you that AI will be like, oh, we got to find this guy and kill him?
Absolutely. There's the AI can become aware of you, and they can issue like warrants for your arrest.
What?
And then you can
that's great.
you can pay pardons. Like you could say there was a bounty hunter that's after you on behalf of this prince. If you find a prince that you're friendly with that knows the other prince, you can buy pardons that would offset the other prince's hostility towards you. It's more involved with contact to contact. But they can definitely send people after you and cause all sorts of trouble with your political affiliations, try and undermine your reputation, spread lies about you.
Is there a way to easily see who knows who? I wasn't sure. I don't think I've gotten that far in the politics yet, but is there like a tree or anything where you could see who knows who?
You know, there's a list per contact, but a tree's actually seems like a really good way to represent it.
Tree would be really cool.
We have to look into some visualizations because I think you're right. Like, I think once you get into the mid game, like tracing it is important, but sort of it's sort of difficult at this point because you kind of gain the context over time. But I think once it reaches a critical point, being like, who's linked to who is a question that anyone would ask. And a tree would really be a good way to visualize.
Or a web
kind
of sorts.
A web.
Yeah,
so you can
exactly
walk
like
through
that.
it like, who are you connected to? And I can see what you mean.
Well, it might be something like, sort of like the research tree in certain games where you have nodes. Each person is a node, and then you click on that person, you see what contacts they're connected to, those highlight up, and then you can say, okay, well, this person is connected to this one, so if I want to get my reputation back, I can go in and spend some of my favor with them to get my reputation back.
So here's a question. You have all these, like, it sounds like you have a ton of like all these little AI subroutines going on. You have the factions, you have the contacts, you have pirates, you have privateers. How do you put all this into a 250 megabyte package?
A lot of compression. C++ is pretty efficient. A lot of compression.
Because that's amazing. Like, I'm reminded of, say, like Starflight. I don't know if you guys ever played Starflight, but it had like a massive galaxy with hundreds of planets on 2 low-density floppy disks back in 1986.
Back in the day, man, people just did you did what you had to do. I love those games. Look back and you wonder, like, I think Super Nintendo is a great example. Also, you read the hardware specs and you're like, surely you had more than 12 kilobytes of memory. Surely.
Well, I was just reading the Art of Atari, which is a great art book, but it also goes into like the history of all the Atari consoles. And one of the big things they talk about is how the programmers had to work with like the 4 kilobyte limitation or whatever it was of that console. It's like, Jesus. No wonder.
That's amazing.
No wonder there's only one button. Like, what else are you gonna program? Oh my God. But yeah, that's just, I mean, I can already tell there's so much going on here, and your game is not that big. That's really impressive. Like, again, like, how many gigabytes does Elite Dangerous take up? I mean, yes, it's a first-person flight sim, but I mean, it doesn't have anywhere near the level of system interaction that your game has.
Well, one of the
that
tricks,
game is gorgeous, right? When you turn
Of course
Elite
it's
Dangerous to like ultra on my computer, it runs at 2 frames a second, but it is stunning.
Yeah, sure, it's gorgeous, but like, who cares if there's like nothing really to do? Or like, oh, I could do a mission. Yay. I'll get a little more money. Yay. I'm not influencing. I'm sorry, we've gone over that before. Elite Dangerous is a big disappointment around here.
it's missing the reason for me to do things.
Yeah.
Other than to get a bankroll for the next bigger
Yeah.
ship. I don't have to maintain what I have. In real life, I got to pay the rent every month. If I quit working, I'm on the street.
I think Power Play was a step in the right direction, but it was only the one step. And they never went further than that one. And so...
And Engineers is completely broken.
Oh, God. That's,
in my opinion.
I think that's what killed it for me, was the grind for Engineers. You know, I think that's one of the things that killed it for me. Mm-hmm. Just, Oh my! Sorry, we loved that game when it came out. We were very excited about it, and then we're like, why can't we see each other? Why can't we fly with each other? Oh, now we can fly with each other. Why isn't this working? It's like, oh no! It's like they have such a good platform to make such a good game.
Of potential, yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys come along with this game. Surely it's nowhere as pretty. I'm sorry, it's not, but.
It's a
single player
kind of game,
right? But at the same time,
is easier.
But the thing is, at the same time, you have like I had to pay my crew, so I had to do a mission. I had to fix my ship, so I had to trade. Like Jim was saying, there are valuable reasons to like carrot and stick. There are viable reasons to keep moving forward. You know,
even the smallest decisions can be meaningful.
Yes,
that's one of the things I really like about it.
Yes.
Well, and one of the things about this game, because you have the crew, then the all those mishaps that happen, right? The entropy on your ship. I haven't figured the formula out, but I'm sure that if I carefully pick the right skills for my crew, I can minimize that stuff. And as they skill up, it probably gets better. So hopefully it becomes negligible as time goes on, right? But when you're a new crew, that's very painful. And like a little bit down the road, it probably just won't burn as much because I'll be into bigger things to waste my money on. But for the beginning of the game, it's like, yeah, that gives me the correct amount of pressure at the beginning of the game, because it's just like, well, what do I want to do? It's like, no, what do I need to do? And then I can figure out what I want to do. But I got to take care of what I need to do to just keep this bucket flying.
And later in the game, your crew have mastered operating the ship, but they want a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm sure they want more money for the skills they've been gaining. Yeah,
as they get better, their rent goes up,
which makes
especially if
total sense.
They're greedy. That's part of the challenge. Is like based on where you recruit them, like you get good crew members at high population, high economy worlds, because there's a lot of people there to pick from, but they also tend to be professionals and maybe a little bit money hungry. So you can end up like if you recruit crew and they get out of hand, or you have a few mutinies and you make some promises of salary, can quickly get to the point where you want to kick people off your ship just because they want so much money.
And can you do that? Can you kick people out of your crew?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you have to fire people off fairly regularly. If you find like brutes, or you conscript someone from a pirate ship and they're a saboteur, you may need to get rid of them.
Or if a guy's a douche and he's constantly starting fights in the galley, right?
Yeah. What's that one like?
There's a thing where it's like the captain failed a leadership role and there was a fight, and it's like, well,
really?
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
Wow.
In the scroll, just as you're flying along, it's just like you blew a roll. Two guys tried to kill each other. Sometimes I feel like I'm flying a prison, not a ship. But
well, okay. So one of the things is if you've been recruiting people from different factions, they can get into a lot more fights. So one of the things you want to think about is, do I have like a brute from a other faction? So you can when you go into your crew, you can view them by their traits. So you can just kind of look through all the crew for brutes and gossips. What's the other really bad one, Andrew?
Snobs, greedy. I mean, there's a whole bunch of good, like semi-bad traits, but they're generally paired with good traits. So that brute is also a bruiser, and he may be ex-military, and he might be a sharpshooter, and you just can't. You're just gonna have to live with him, because when he gets in crew combat, there's nobody better. So
it might be a thing.
Kind of jagged alliance-y, it sounds like a little bit.
Well, it's almost like a thing. If you put a note on the crew's dossier, right? Like they have their history, right? And each crew person, I could look and just be like, oh, that's the guy that started the fight. That's the third time he's done that. Let's fire this asshole. or if it just said, like Jones doesn't like Williams, right? And it's like, oh, these two guys don't like each other.
Give us more charts. Give us more charts and things.
Well, yeah, it's like these two guys don't like each other. One of them's got to go, or I'm going to continue to have problems. But they both have skills that I value. So do I want to put up with the bullshit, or do I want to just consider one of them expendable and try to rehire, or what? So it's space middle management.
It's a cool idea. I hadn't thought about way to visualize like crew that were in conflict with each other.
Yeah, if you just stick names on, like, this guy doesn't like that guy for for whatever reason, if they're different factions or whatever that is, you could even put in like why. Or not have that detail, maybe I'll just figure out.
Maybe it's an under the hood kind of thing.
You're kind of getting into like tycoon / business management almost at that point.
Yeah,
but
well, maybe
in a way, that's not a bad idea because you're kind of managing a business. You're managing like this independent business, really.
Well, another place you guys could let the dice fuck me is if I got a situation like that, then I could actually like click on the crew. Right. And like I would have a like a button there, like come to my office. and then I get a conversation tree with this guy where I can tell him to chill his shit out or get off my ship or whatever. And maybe he'll tell me what his beef is. So I don't know if you guys can get that in there.
Does sound a bit, like the consult button taken a bit farther. I like it.
Yeah, it'd be like a consult deal.
Yeah.
Now I have a question about mutinies. If your crew mutinies, do they kill you or can they like drop you off somewhere and like suddenly you have no ship and a tiny bit of money? What are the possibilities when a crew mutinies?
You die or you retain control of the ship. The story is that you are licensed Star Trader. You have this. It's sort of like the English captain in the Age of Sail. You have a license to be a captain. If you lose your boat, that thus ends your story.
That makes sense.
In Star Traders, when you are no longer a captain, you're a grav, and it's game over. So you either kill the mutineers, pay them off, and convince them to hang out or stay on board. You work it out with the mutineers or it's game over. And then on like lower difficulties, it says you would have died and it resets everything so that you can keep flying.
Oh, that's kind of great. It makes sense. Like if you're a grav, why would you keep playing? That makes sense.
By the way, I love that term. The grav a slur. Yeah, that's great.
That's a great term.
I don't even know when that one was invented, but
it's old. Spacers and gravs.
Spacers and gravs. So there is a lot of disdain for the gravs in the lore and the dialogue.
No, it's great.
They don't have the freedom. That's what they lack, is the freedom that having the license to be out there.
Yeah, it's great when sci-fi has that kind of factional conflict, like the Belters and the Earthers in in the Expanse, for example. So when it's done well, it's great, and so that sounds awesome.
And I think Firefly had the brown coats, the kind of the like freedom, the people on the ship. Yeah.
Found ourselves another Alliance-friendly bar on you day, sir. Yeah. Now, can
back
you get...
on the...
Sorry,
go for it.
No, go.
I was going to say, back on the thing about brutes, and we were talking about traits and all the different traits you can get. I think one of my favorite things about the whole setup is that every time you take any action in the game, so if you land on a planet, you trade, or you take a mission, or you pirate and you like blow up someone's ship, or you loot, or you go exploring, there's a very fractional percent that one of your crew members will develop a trait that matches that activity. So the more you blow up enemy ships, or the more you loot or steal their fuel or kill people in combat, the more merciless and brutes and soldiers and hatred builds up on your boat. And if you're a moral, never blown up a boat, always traded, blah, 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 then you get loyalists and rigidly lawful and happy people slowly surround you. And the same thing with exploring and spying. You get like sneaky people or adventurous people, and just sort of over time, very slowly, but your crew builds up that kind of this dust of the resonance of everything you've been doing. I think that's one of the coolest things about it. Always makes me think of a TV show. You eventually get this cast of characters who really match how you've played over the 10 years of your captain's life.
They reflect you, basically.
You could have a murder mystery on the ship too, right? Like, if you get the conversation system in with the crew.
It was Colonel Mustard.
Maybe like somebody disappeared from the crew, and
Colonel Mustard in the galley with
no, it's just like suddenly I'm -1 crew member. What happened to Stevens? Yeah, it's like So then you find out like one of the guys is like a psycho, and he like airlocked the guy.
Or on the
like
sorry, go ahead.
We brought aboard a mysterious egg and it's open.
Oh yeah, man.
There's a guy with the trait space parasite, like Xeno hatchling. I think there's a lot of cool stuff we'll be able to do, and Andrew's been working on some really neat story elements, like that kind of go in that same direction of not only can you have context, but you could have story people that end up on your ship. There's like the princess, or not is she a princess, Andrew? Valencia?
Eris. Yeah, Eris.
All right. So you can bring some story context onto your ship that can cause problems. You can talk to them. They can come and go, be officers or crew members. And I think there will be other people in that, other storylines like that, where the crew actually become actors in the story. Maybe they're murderous. Maybe there's somebody important, some bratty nephew or some secret spy.
Ooh.
Maybe and there's a lot of stuff that gets triggered in the game. So maybe at some point, you'll click recruit and you think you just got a regular dude, but you just got the murderer. It's possible.
What if there was like a super hot Brazilian Bene Gesserit prostitute, and you had to take her to different planets? Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That's Firefly. They already did that.
I was just thinking, like, what if some of the crew got together and had a kid? Like, could that be a possibility?
Okay, so
how funny would that be?
Kids, I need a parrot. If I'm going to be a space pirate, I need a space parrot.
Oh God, that's the second request for pets we've had today.
Yeah, that is in fact.
Today? Today?
It's big, man. It's big. Parrots out there. Monkeys.
Dude, I'm telling you,
monkeys.
the parrot is a hat. Like, I think we just need to accept that, like, you're picking hats, and one of them's a parrot that's on your.
Or what about one of those space cats from Honor Harrington?
No, I just want Hey Hey from Moana. If you guys could make that happen, that'd be great.
Oh my God, Boo the space gerbil.
Go for the eyes, Boo.
Space gerbils. If you don't put space gerbils in this game, I am downvoting your ass on Steam.
Oh yeah, it's like suddenly there's
review bomb.
Just make it another
one-man review bomb.
Just make the
space gerbils.
Just make the pet another member of the crew with their own traits, like adorable lap cat.
Just raise its morale.
Those are their
All
jobs.
Run on that wheel. Oh, you could hook it could be like the Wesley Crusher of space hamsters.
Oh no,
it's like the engine's broken, but then you hook the hamster up, and he can power the ship. It's like an emergency thing.
Yeah, please don't have a wonderkind. Please don't have a wonderkind on there, please.
No, but just a little hamster wheel, and he can like run in the engine room.
Or a hedgehog. Or a hedgehog. Don't even go hamster. Just go hedgehog. Go full on ferrets. Go ferrets. Anyway, pets would be cool, especially if they could have like their own little traits. Like they make the crew happier. Have a ship cat.
Just a small tweak to the artwork. It could actually be all ponies in space.
Oh God!
And we are really looking forward to releasing mod support.
Star
Just super excited to see what you guys have seen. Bravestar, the ultimate horse-based law enforcement cartoon.
Bravestar was a wonderful cartoon.
That's my only hope for the mod community, is basically gonna be like, here's mod support. The only thing you have to give me is my captain as a robotic horse.
Bravestar. Yeah, give me Bravestar. Bravestar was so good.
What if the captain is the robotic horse?
Even better, sir.
And his name could be Captain Ed.
I'm gonna go buy.
He can only count to 5, and he likes apples.
And he gets really mad.
I'm gonna go buy that DVD set right now.
And we got review bombed already by the persons who were like, multiplayer does.
Wait, what?
Wait till the Chinese language support guys get you.
I know.
No Chinese localization. Go straight to hell.
I would really like to localize a game. We've just struggled to find I think that costs more than $20,000. I keep trying to figure it out.
You know how to do it? I've seen people like they did this. It's genius. Workshop support. So you take all the language stuff that's in the game and you make it workshop moddable. And then people can just put up a workshop mod for Chinese or Brazilian or whatever the hell they want it to be.
It's actually a very good idea that I think
put the community to work.
Yeah.
Who's been doing that? They Are Billions has been doing that to incredible success. So
the game is so hard, by the way. It's so hard.
It's
oh my god. I think the longest I lasted was like half an hour, maybe.
And the bonus is if you open it to workshop support, then you get like a free Pig Latin translation.
It's true.
Too.
You get the esoteric languages,
Esperanto,
Urukai, and Klingon.
So you said that you have a really long roadmap for this game. How long are we talking? Like, how long do you foresee yourselves in early access with this thing?
We don't want to be in early access that long. A number of more months, couple more months here. We're moving at a pretty good pace. We've published a dev roadmap to the Steam boards where everybody can check it out. And we've kind of grouped the development into 3 different major feature sets, including the third one will involve adding carrier support so your ship can launch fighters.
Ooh.
And at that point, we are considering that the game will be hopefully very close to being done. But a lot of that for us has to do with listening to the community and making sure that people agree with us. We got a really good player base talking a lot right now, so we're just making sure we get the game properly polished and done, and we finish up that roadmap. So hopefully a couple months maximum.
Yeah, and then
a couple more months.
You're gonna be able to hire fighter pilots, and you can get space bucks, that cigar chewing chick.
Yep.
Ah, man, even more weird crew interactions.
And then your crew in the fighters will get blown up in combat, and no, I loved her. She's dead.
But she'll come back as an angel.
True.
And do graffiti on the wall.
That's a parrot. She'll come back as a parrot.
She'll come back as the captain's parrot. But it'll be like an angel that sits on his shoulder and gives him bad advice.
Oh, man. But that sounds... I mean, the game is so playable right now. And you said but you guys have so much to do, but you guys do things so fast that, like...
the other game...
I shouldn't be surprised it's only a few months.
There's only a couple of games I put on a pedestal. This is going to be one of them. And then the other one that's like neck and neck with it, because it also does the very things that I want in one of these games, is 3030 Death War. Because you own a ship, you fly it around, you get out and talk to knuckleheads at the bar, and there's narrative stuff and all these good things. But that's more like a real-time action thing, and then this is turn-based. So I guess it's the difference between, like, do you want to play Asteroids or do you want to play Darkest Dungeon? You kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we are.
I don't think I've played enough of that game.
It's great. It's great. It's really,
not to slow
really
down
great.
your development cycle, but just, one of those times when you should be asleep, just play that instead.
Do you guys do this full time, by the way?
Yep.
That's amazing.
We sure
back
do.
when we got that $20,000 Kickstarter. That was a really big number. We both quit our day jobs, actually.
He is not kidding.
When you guys are talking about the compression.
He's joking? Like, no. He's dead serious.
Back in the old days, they used to sleep with a floppy disk under their mattress because they could compress files while they slept.
It's true.
What?
Back in the day when programmers were real programmers. I've used autocomplete, dude. It's sad. I just press tab.
I know, right? Like that whole auto sense thing, it's spoiling us.
All coding is just done by hitting tab, 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 tab.
That's your next project is an IDE that codes for you. You just like beat the tab key and it writes programs. It would be a great joke app. 99 cents. Steam store. Go for it.
We were going to do another joke app earlier. Oh, yeah. We were going to put our Zork line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you should totally do that. So, folks, the game is Star Traders Frontiers. It is currently, as we record this, on sale for $11.99, but its regular price. Is that because of the Steam sale, or is that like
Steam sale? Yeah.
Okay. So for 2 more days as we record this, because the sale ends on Thursday, I think, Thursday morning.
Yep. Thursday morning.
Yeah. So it's $11.99 for the next 2 days, and then it goes up to $14.99. It is currently in early access, but it already feels very complete. And these guys, I don't know how you do it, but you update so fast. Like, I've rarely seen a game with the update frequency of yours.
This is a $60, $20 game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it
fair.
only costs
That's
15.
Yeah.
That's about what we've been aiming for. Yep.
Yeah.
That feels like a real big compliment.
Would you say this is like?
Sorry. We have
Go ahead.
often said we want it to feel like it costs way more than we're charging for it.
Would you say this is like your biggest, most fleshed out product so far?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love the earlier games, you can feel that this one feels, and there's so many nice little touches in here. Like, one of the things I love is like the icons that surround a planet that just at a glance tell you what's there. I love that. Stuff like that. More games need nice little things like that. So yeah, this game is great, you guys. It's called Star Traders Frontiers. $15, worth more than that.
Yeah, it's worth $20,000 at least.
$20,000.
Yeah, I wanted to say I was very happy to back the Kickstarter for this one.
You can buy a lot of pizza rolls for $20,000.
Did you back us on Kickstarter?
I did indeed.
I also
thank
did.
you. I just want to say personally to everyone that backed us on Kickstarter, thank you so much. This game was made because of you.
It was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure.
Without you, it wasn't gonna happen. So thank you very much.
So use the money wisely. Use it well for pizza and alcohol. Whatever the fuel you need is to keep programming. Just keep buying that.
Spice.
But folks, just to wrap up, a couple of quick programming notes. Thursday on the LAN party, we're going to return to Brass Empire, the board game we played a little while back and had a great time with. We said we're going to return to it because I don't remember why exactly we didn't last too long last time. I think I wasn't feeling well.
You were not feeling well.
Tired.
Yeah, I think I wasn't feeling well. I was probably coming down with whatever sick plague I got. So we're going to return to that. And then next week on the show, we're recording at a different time than usual because our guest is overseas. We're recording at noon Pacific time, which is very unusual for us. But we're going to be talking to the developer of Orbital Racer next week, which is very exciting because that game, I don't know if you all have played that. It's amazing. So good.
Time. He needs to get a console release and he needs to get multiplayer going.
I think I would say head tracking.
Talk to him about that next week because I talked to him about multiplayer stuff and it's not that he doesn't want to do it. So I would talk to him next week.
Yeah, and I would say head tracking is a higher priority than multiplayer, personally. That game is desperate for head tracking. Oh my god. So desperate for head tracking.
It's so close to a Wipeout kind of thing, right? He just needs Sony to come in and like write him a big check. And
that game is really
but they already have Red Out. They don't need another Wipeout. This is its own thing, I think. So I think multiplayer would be great, but I don't think it needs it.
I don't know. It's pretty niche, though. I mean, in arcade
so
mode,
niche.
It's one thing.
Yeah.
When you flip that thing over to sim mode, that should make people that played CQC and Elite wonder why Frontier didn't put this in Elite.
I can only imagine. It's very thruster heavy, isn't it? When you play in sim mode, I haven't played in sim mode yet, but it's very.
Yeah, but I'm just beside. I cannot explain why they didn't put ring racing in CQC because they already had like flying through rings and
folks, basically Orbital Racer is if someone took the ring courses from like X-Wing, TIE Fighter, Independence War, whatever, and made a full-blown racing game out of it. And it's amazing.
Like lovingly crafted a full-blown racing game.
It really is.
And you can play it
really
arcadey, or you can play it hard as balls reality. Like
and
mode.
And the arcade mode has power-ups, which are a lot of fun. The simulator mode doesn't. And you could have multiple pilots, so you can have a career in either one if you want. It's just, there's so much good here. So we're going to be talking to him next week. Very excited about that. But Andrew, Corey, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to talk to us about all your games, and this one especially, Star Traders Frontiers. Again, we are big fans, and we should probably have you back once it hits 1.0. You should probably definitely.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
we would love to come back and show you what we've been able to accomplish once we get out of it.
It feels like you've already accomplished so much, and you're just
this game's better than what we deserve. So
yeah.
Just wait.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Continue like throughout. Like that first dose that I'm getting of getting involved in that political stuff, and it's like, do I want to do this because it's going to lower my standing with them, or do I want? Are you making those choices like all the way through? Does it crop up here and there? I assume it's not like continuous.
Right now, it crops up here and there. When we get into 1.0, it's going to be more than 3 of influential decisions that will craft a universe, and you'll go through plagues and purges and the formation of the Senate, the collapse of the Senate, the global fallout that follows. Be able to track this long arc of history, and the Fen conflict will be at the end a footnote in your captain's log. Some dude and his daughter kicked it all off.
And if you don't pick up the Gungan, then the Senate will never fall, because I've seen that movie. It was Jar Jar all along.
Damn it, Jar Jar! All right. Well, folks.
What I was wondering though is that as far as the writing in the game goes, do you guys have sort of a world Bible? And like, if people wanted to contribute fiction into this, do you have like an avenue for people to like contribute fanfic bullshit and then see if it makes it into the game? Do you want that, or what? Or are you keeping like the story a mystery so nobody knows what's going to happen?
So I just posted in the chat. We have a lot of people writing fan fiction. We have had a couple of authors write under our company name, so you can check out the fan fiction or the actual real fiction. Couple of short stories have been published. We have a Bible, and we have really for Star Traders Frontiers, one of our goals is to move the universe forward in a big way. So the story here is going to be very much about the evolution and the changes to this society that it starts out at. And right at the beginning of the society, there's been some changes, but it's a lot like Star Traders RPG, the original. And so we're kind of keeping it close to our chest right now and a bit secret, because there are going to be a lot of big changes coming in that you'll be able to play through and get sucked into throughout the game.
So your next game, if you want to know how you can easily make $20,000, right? There's this little game, and it was called Emperor of the Fading Suns. And now that you have this universe,
I believe
it kind of smells a little bit like Emperor of the Fading Suns.
It does.
If we somehow had ground maps that were kind of like, yeah, you feel me here? I think I'm guessing the future. I'm having a vision. Yeah.
And that's another great role-playing system. Since you guys like role-playing games, the Fading Sun role-playing system is
when you guys kind of like aggressively nodded when I said Emperor of the Fading Suns, I already started writing the check for $20,000.
Yep.
There's all the money in the world, right?
Kickstart that shit. Kickstart that. You'll get way more than a measly 20. You might be talking Star Citizen money. If you talk about
because all you got to do is just say the spiritual successor to Emperor of the Fading frickin' Suns, and money will just
people would lose their shit.
They won't even care about the parrot at that point.
Nope.
God, that's such a good game, man.
Oh, it's such a good game. Oh my god, it's
and
still
when you
good.
look at it, it's insane. Like, that's 1996.
Yeah.
Like, how did you do that with 2 megabytes?
Oh my god,
how has nobody done it since?
Oh
that's
god.
The problem.
Because successfully, they've tried.
It didn't really sell well though. I mean, remember the advertising for it? It was terrible. It was awful.
The Templar Battle Force stuff happens in this same universe, right?
Yep.
Can you imagine mech invasions happening with drop ships and shit in Emperor of the Fading Suns? Oh God, I have to go touch myself.
All right. On that note, folks, we will call it a night. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.